Are you back on your old camera, JB? Oh,
Unfortunately.
we are. According to this, we're streaming live on Facebook. Cool.
Are we streaming? Should I switch cameras then, I guess?
Put your pants on? I mean, if you want to.
I don't have pants. I have pants on. I have an apron on, even more close than I normally do.
You have an apron on? Why do you have an apron?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Well. It's just cooking, you know? I have many more duties than making hard-hitting political podcasts, you know? Wear a lot of hats.
Luckily, I don't. It's literally all I got going on. Makes things much easier. All right, well, we're here. I'm not going to delay any longer because CNN did that enough for us tonight. We are back. It's a Drunken Democratic Debate Recap, trademark 2019 Lions of Liberty. It's where we, as the title suggests, get drunk and recap the Democratic debates. I know, it's quite original. And here with me I have, I almost said as always, not as always, as sometimes, a regular contributor to the Doctor of Science himself, hailing from the city of brotherly love, JB Lubin. What's up?
That was really long.
My introduction to you or the debate?
The debate. You see?
Why are you in the dark? I swear I saw you seconds ago.
There were so many things I'd rather be doing than watching this drivel, but I did it all for you. And hopefully
just for me.
It was all worthwhile.
Not for the fans?
No, just for you. Just for you.
All right. Well, we've also got a special guest here with us tonight. He is, as far as I can tell, not wearing an apron. He is Car Campit of the Friends Against Government. Car, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not a whole lot. Thanks for having me on. No aprons today. Not yet. We'll see where the night takes us.
I mean, yeah, we don't know where this is going to lead. Let's be honest. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to put on an apron. I don't think I own an apron, though. That's the thing. I just so what's the point of aprons? I guess it's so you don't get schmutz and filth on yourself when you cook, but I cook for myself at home. I have never felt I need this apron. Like, is this just for show? Is it like the lab coat for scientists? And you actually own both these things, apparently, JB, lab coats and aprons. So maybe you'd be the most qualified to talk about this. If you can't tell, my main goal is to avoid talking about the Democratic debate as long.
Honestly, I probably use my apron more than I use my lab coat. I'm a very messy cooker. Maybe that's the thing,
Are you more concerned about olive oil on your shirt than you would be about whatever chemicals you utilize in your in science?
Actually, if I'm doing hardcore organic, I'm wearing a lab coat and goggles, but that's rarely what I'm doing. So most of the time I'm more concerned with me contaminating my experiment than the other way around.
We wouldn't want that.
To be honest. Also used olive oil primarily for your lab experiments too, so it was just no real difference.
It's the same exact cabinet he uses. His kitchen is his lab.
Just confident. Back into the kitchen.
Can your volume go up a little bit, Bird? You're clear but a little low.
Yeah,
I also called you Bird.
It was me.
Yeah,
Bird's volume is really low.
Work today since I am without Bird.
Car Bird.
Crank the Yume on this thing.
And I'm not editing any of this out, kids. You get it all. You're getting the behind the scenes because we're actually streaming live to the Lions of Liberty Pride secret Facebook group. That is a little perk you get for being a supporter of ours on Patreon. You get these shows live streaming to Facebook. You also get the Zoom link. Even the people that sign up at the $2 a month, the Lion Cub level, you guys get access to these live streams so you can kind of dip your toe in, see what the Pride is all about. And then, of course, we'll be posting this full show tonight, the video and the audio for the Lions of Liberty Pride. And I think the normies out there, I think we're going to post both these debate recaps on Thursday. So Thursday is going to be the big debate recap shows in the regular feed. But you special people watching us on Facebook, this is all for you, really. The other people, they're okay. Once they send us money, I'll like them more. But speaking of money, speaking of getting money back into politics or out of politics, seemed to be one of the many themes tonight. I guess we'll talk about this debate. And I've sent you guys some possible talking points ahead of time. And if you're wondering why I'm starting to talk a little slower, it's because I'm looking for them slowly.
Well, while you're talking slower, is this mic level okay?
Smooth move.
I can hear you. It's not. I don't think it's any higher. But
I can crank. Well,
yeah, crank it.
I mean, I'm fine with just taking over this. Oh, you know why? I cranked the wrong.
I'm still struggling a bit. I can pull my volume up a little.
How about this?
There we go.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Now we're great.
I was cranking the wrong knob.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Cranking the wrong knob. That should be
nothing new under the sun.
That should be the subtitle of
it for every time.
Nothing new under the sun.
And they crank some knobs tonight. I'll tell you that, kids.
Yeah, they cranked my knob quite a bit, but not the right one. And it was very, very infuriating.
Cranking the wrong knob. The first knob they cranked incorrectly was I read an article on CNN a week ago telling me how to watch the debate, and that article also described the debate time, which was clearly stated 7 to 9 Eastern. Did this end at 9 Eastern? Anyone want to address that?
I'm Eastern, and that is no.
No, it didn't address it. Yeah, it didn't end at either of these times.
Well, it also didn't end at 9:30, which was the new revised time.
Yeah.
And it ended at like 9:40.
It was brutal.
And each additional minute was more excruciating than the last.
Before we dive too deep, what are we all drinking here tonight? I am drinking because I didn't want to go too crazy, and I really wanted to give myself a hangover tomorrow. I'm drinking apple juice. I'm drinking Angry Orchards. But I'm also drinking, occasionally, when I feel like I have to, which I did a couple times during the debate, I've got a little bottle of Fireball here. I mean, I didn't dip that much into it, but I'm going to now. As you guys describe what you're drinking, I'm going to have a sip of Fireball. JB, what do you drink over in Science Land?
I basically made sure to drink Scottish whiskey and German beer just so they knew I wasn't supporting this farce that they're putting on as a debate. No, I'm just kidding. That was just a coincidence. But I am drinking those things. Balvenie, 12-year. You know, I love the Scotch.
The standard.
And some Hefeweizen from Germany. St. Bartholomew, I think.
St. Bartholomew.
It's okay. Yeah. St. Bart. Like the island.
Is that what the island is named after? That guy?
Saint, yeah. Saint
no,
Bartholomew.
I literally, I had no idea.
What do you think it was named after?
I mean, some kind of saint. I just didn't know his name.
It's in the name of the island.
Yeah, just the Bart part, not the Bartholomew.
I feel like we're like warming the listeners up to talk about the Democratic debate by just going around in circles for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much my strategy.
You want me to tell you what I'm drinking, Mark?
Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. I'm just delaying this because I'm not convinced that my audio is going incorrectly. So that's why I'm just...
Sound good to me?
I do. Good. I don't sound like I'm on my computer mic?
No. Sounds quality.
Okay. Then I'm just
sound like you're on old-time radio.
It sounds like I'm on old-time radio. All right. So...
Mark, I have a glass of Kentucky Deluxe on the rocks, and that's what I'm doing today.
So nice.
We're all drinking.
What's that called? Kentucky Deluxe?
Yeah, it is. I think it's $11.99 at the local liquor store for a handle, so it lasts me a reasonable amount of time.
I'm glad you sprang for the Kentucky Deluxe and didn't just get the Kentucky Standard.
Yeah, no. You got to pull up the tiles in the floor to get down to that level.
I love the direct correlation between the shittier a liquor is and the more fancy words they need to add.
Yes, they just jam them in there.
Anything that's deluxe or like elegant, you want to steer clear of the elegant.
Yeah.
Or premium.
Premium.
You don't put premium on a label if it's actually premium.
Yeah, I would also avoid anything claiming to be award-winning that is under $12.
This one doesn't even claim to win awards under $12. So
I just use that as a random. I guess it wasn't that random. Maybe it was your $11.99 price marker that made me think $12. But
yeah, it was $11.99 or $12.99. Either way, the price is right, and so
either way, you're the winner.
I engaged in that age-old Austrian tradition of the win-win, leaving the store where both parties come away happy.
And I usually believe that almost every transaction is a win-win. I'm yet to be convinced that me watching this debate was a win-win.
That's sure. Just disproving Austrian economics. That's
the only thing they accomplished at this debate.
One CNN program at a time. It was really
disproving the basics of Misesian theory.
I will say that I don't watch much politics anymore, and so you really got the wrong host of the Fadcast on this thing. Bird would have been much more adept.
Bird nods his beak in agreement.
Yeah, but I think I had a much. This is going to sound strange, but I had my bar was so low that they almost came away exceeding my expectations. There were some. I thought
you meant the bar at your house was like too low to.
Yeah, I gotta bring the microphone down. Yeah, it's all bottom shelf liquor, man. It's way down on the ground. No, I had set the bar so low in my mind for what this was going to be that it actually ended up. There were times where, even though it was all nonsense, it still exceeded my expectation. What's going on, JB?
I am adjusting my camera. Pay no attention to me.
Pay no attention to the man you can barely see in the dark room. That wasn't a racial comment, but you're in the...
Told you already, I'm backlit. This place wasn't built for video. You just sprung this on me, Mark.
It didn't just bring it on you tonight. You've been doing this.
I don't know. What were your thoughts, Mark, just overall before we dive in?
What were my thoughts? What kind of
just like, just that? Good, bad?
I mean, it's definitely bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where you get the hard-hitting analysis here at Lions of Liberty.
It's definitely bad.
Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. Okay, so I don't know. For some reason, this just seemed like way more. Maybe it was the extended length that was almost a third, 30% longer than the first round. I kind of remember enjoying, in a weird way, those first two debates. This one, I really felt like maybe it's because it was fresh and new in a sense. But this, it almost felt like a rerun. Did you guys get that feeling at all? It felt like we're just
not at all.
No? Okay.
Well, I'll tell you why. I felt maybe this debate more than the one before, at least the one that I watched, because I didn't bother to watch the one I didn't recap because, for reasons. No, actually, I did think I watched at least some of it. Never mind. I digress. Anyway, I felt like tonight's, like the overarching theme of tonight's debate was like there was like two factions. There was like two camps. The super like left-wing candidates and the more centrist, moderate candidates that are basically saying all these things we're proposing are unreasonable and never going to happen. And they're basically, the moderators basically tried to pit them against each other for like the entirety of the 2.5 hours. That's basically what I got from that. And it wasn't so much, it didn't feel like that so much in the first debate. Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I didn't think of it until you just said it, and now I agree.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that was obvious to me, I guess, going throughout. It just, I guess it more in terms of the talking points from the individual candidates. Nothing I heard from anybody, other than Marianne, and we'll talk about her in a bit. But nothing stood out as anything different than what I've heard before or anything like that. But there was, I think that is a key difference that you're pointing out, that there was sort of like, we're dividing these groups here in a sense of the extreme socialists, so to speak, and then the moderates who, are trying to rein in the socialism because they think that Donald Trump will defeat a sort of extreme candidate, which is a little bit.
They went wild with it. They said some things like, one of their questions were like, do you think this Bernie Sanders proposal will lose the Democrats this election? Or something like so blatant. It's like, is being this wild gonna get you like, so it was definitely like part of the agenda to really make, like, put a line in the sand. It's like, these guys are like the left of center, these guys are more centrist, like, and you guys can discuss what's the best option for this candidate for the Democratic Party in this election. I think that's what was that were going on. Who chooses these questions anyway? Do we know? The DNC? Does anyone screen these questions before, like, or is it like who gets to choose what these questions are?
They're not.
Yeah, they're emailed to the candidates beforehand.
Is that right?
Well, they sometimes they are.
Well, according to the debate, like, is this by like the Federal Election Committee? Like,
no, I mean, I think CNN has complete independence in terms of running the debate.
So CNN chooses these questions.
Yeah. I mean, that's in theory. I mean, if you believe that everything's on the up and up, yes. I mean,
it was hard to see if everything wasn't in the up and up who paid the most tonight, because I feel like a lot of people got roasted with the questions that were presented.
Yeah, I can't really tell it seemed like Bernie and Warren got the most time. They were, they ranked the candidates from center outside based on their polling and their support and their money raising and that sort of thing. So I guess in that context, it makes sense that they got the most time. They were clearly, I think, the centerpieces, and they're the two probably boldest candidates, just in terms of how extreme their proposals are and how unwilling they are to even concede like a sort of moderate Democrat position on anything, whether it's healthcare and even keeping private insurance. They're totally against that. Although in some ways, I mean, that's not entirely true, because I mean, Warren kind of went in. She was almost Donald Trump on trade stuff in some ways. And obviously, not the same way he puts things, but she was sort of a trade hawk in a sense.
Yeah, this wild protectionism. I didn't know that was like I guess an arrow in her quiver. Like, I didn't realize she was that like crazy.
Was that an Indian?
Yeah, it was a.
Is that an in? That's
Were
not,
you? Was that canned?
No,
Were
I'm
you
just thinking
sitting on that one
arrows.
for-
Maybe I'm
You had that one written down, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just say really weird things because I read like too many fantasy books. I think I'm a nerd. Didn't they tell you? I'm the science officer of the USS
Can't wait
Lions
till
of Liberty.
JB's Laka joke about Bernie. This is gonna be good. It was like 2 latkes in the pan with that guy.
But yeah, I had no idea like she was that like protectionist when it came to trade. Like she's far more. She's worse than I thought she was. But also she's not as boring as I thought she was too. Because I thought she was wild tonight. She was taking shots at everyone. She was trying to roast everyone on that stage, and it was very surprising to me that she was so forceful.
I feel like she has been coached up in this a bit because the first debate, I don't recall her being quite this bombastic and quite this on the attack. I mean, she was really amped up. Like her and Bernie, I'll give them credit, I suppose, in the sense that they both brought energy to the whole thing.
But Bernie's always like that. You expect yelling.
Bernie's always like that. Yes.
Yeah, he's a firecracker, as they say. You know.
I have written down here that Bernie is sounding more Jewish.
I thought he was sounding more from like Brooklyn.
Yeah, maybe that's what I mean.
Maybe they're one and the same.
Difference?
Yeah, but perhaps
They're not one and the same, but when both powers are combined, it's kind of an unstoppable.
yeah, the sum of the parts is greater than, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Something like that.
Yes, yeah. And there was also a moment that I think I would like to bring up because it will be a meme either by me or somebody if they beat me to it. I assume they will because I'm bad at technology.
If you get beaten to it, it's because you're on this show.
Yeah, I know, which is totally unfair. But there is a part in the beginning where in the first 10 or 20 minutes where Bernie Sanders is yelling at Delaney,
Yeah.
and Delaney
A lot of people are doing that.
Like I texted Marc that it looked like a gay ventriloquist puppet, and that's exactly like Marc. Am I wrong there?
About Delaney?
Yes.
No, I'm totally bought that description of him.
And I didn't even get a good picture. I snapped that, like I took a picture of my laptop in real time.
Like crazy Jewish man yells at gay ventriloquist.
Yes, and like it's going to be so good. I've already got ideas, but I don't have it, and I'm not going to have it, and somebody's going to beat me to it. And I'm going to be really upset, but I'm still going to meme on it.
Especially if they're hearing this live stream and they're already working on it as we speak. All right, I guess we could run through some of these questions, and I think I purposely. Let's see if we can divide the camps because I think there's an interesting thing in here of the moderates versus the socialists, so to speak. So let's divide. I will put obviously Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are in the I guess the socialist camp. I think I would put Beto in there as well. Overall, then. I don't know. I'll come back to it. The moderates are obviously John Delaney, Hickenlooper, all the Johns, Tim Ryan. The boring white guy names are basically Steve Bullock, another one.
Yeah, Steve Bullock. Yeah,
where did that guy come from? He wasn't.
I don't know, but he's not very good at the English language.
But he got a lot of time. I thought I saw his face a lot for someone I barely knew existed until like this evening.
I thought he was like Scott Baio if things had gone wrong, and Scott Baio is actually Scott Baio. Things have gone wrong, so that's weird. Maybe Scott Baio things went right. I don't know.
The double negative. Yeah.
What about Amy? Amy's probably more moderate than the others. Yeah. Amy Klobuchar would probably fall in that camp too.
I think the conundrums to me are Buttigieg.
Yeah.
And Marianne. Who knows? I don't think she belongs in a category.
Marianne's above the categories.
Yeah, she's in her own special group.
Yeah, she gets her own little place somewhere up by the moon. She's not in one of these camps.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Broadly speaking, with that classification, there's something that I was actually going to bring up, had you not already brought it up, was this divide and actually how. I mean, for what it is, how kind of moderate to conservative a lot of them sounded, especially when speaking about certain issues like the immigration. And I had another thing written down here, but I was just kind of shocked at some of the rhetoric of calling out like open border stuff. I was pretty taken aback by that. But again, I didn't watch the first debate, and I don't really follow politics all that well. So
I mean, Bernie's almost a hawk on the border. Like,
it's bizarre.
His whole so Bernie, we're gonna bounce around here, but I had some talking points, and one was like I had my most status moment, and I think one of my most status moments was in one sentence, Bernie called for giving health care to illegals to anybody who gets here, basically. But at the same time, the reason it wouldn't be that bad is because he's going to really tighten the border and have very stricter border security. So it was like.
There won't even be any, so don't worry about it.
It's like I will have free healthcare for all illegals, but those won't exist because I'm going to be a total border Nazi. I was like, wow, I had no idea. I mean, I had an idea because actually Bernie and really, interestingly enough, historically, I mean, the Democrats have been the party of border control. They've been the party of the worker, and part of being the party of the worker has always been, against actual logic and against what economics would tell us. Being against importing new workers because they will take jobs from the current workers. So that's always been kind of Bernie's angle. But I was surprised, I guess, at how unashamed of it he was tonight, because the modern Democratic Party and the modern sort of, at least the socialist wing of it that we're sort of associating with, is very much essentially open borders. But even Elizabeth Warren couldn't quite state that she's for that. She couldn't quite fully say.
I thought she pretty much did. I was like, it was one of my picks for most libertarian statement of the night because there weren't many. I know not everyone agrees, but open border policy is a libertarian policy in some camps. And like, she seemed like she was pretty much on board for it.
I feel like there was one point where they kept saying, like, would you decriminalize border crossings, illegal border crossings? And she said, I don't know. I felt like she was dancing around how the words she was using to say it. Ultimately, she was saying it shouldn't be like a criminal offense, but I felt like she wasn't taking the bait the moderator was giving her, which was to just say, do you want to make this totally a non-criminal thing? But maybe I just miss.
I thought that she did, which is why I considered it, because, ultimately crossing imaginary lines isn't a crime. What you're doing is against the rules only because we want, as the current system stands, we want to vet people to make sure that, you're not insane and you don't want to kill people, which is fine. People set rules to come in, but it's not like you killed somebody walking across an imaginary line, and throwing somebody in a cage because they did that seems a little bit extreme. So, I
totally agree. I don't want it to be a crime. Is it a crime? Should time Elizabeth Warren think that it's just fine?
That was fairly interesting to see them kind of split up on that.
Doesn't it feel like they're all, other than kind of Bernie and Warren? I don't know. I guess some of them aren't. Like Hickenlooper's pretty strong in what he tries to say, but I feel like they're all playing the dance a little bit in one way or another. Like the socialists are largely trying to say the socialist things, the things they're supposed to say about healthcare as a right, Medicare for all, that sort of thing. But and some of them are doing it less than others, and while dancing around the fact that they know that they, that isn't what's going to happen. Whereas the moderates are dancing around trying to say that that's not going to happen, but also kind of giving their tip of their hat to it. Like, yeah, we should want a lot of these things, but we know it can't happen. So let's not let Donald Trump win again. But no one's really that bold, other than I guess Bernie and Warren were probably the most bold overall with the whole thing. Everyone else seemed to be playing the dance, other than Marianne too. But again, she's in her own category. She deserves her own section of this podcast.
I think that's a pretty accurate summary.
Well, you're right, and I think Warren called those people that you're talking about, like one of I think the quotes she got most of applause for is so many people on these stages talking about what we can't do and what we can't fight for. Something she said.
That was actually a good line, like policy.
It was, even I was impressed. I was like, yeah, you're roasting people right now. This is the type of thing that'll get you more points. And that's exactly what you're describing. There's a section of the people on the stage that are like, we're going to do all these grandiose things that have 0.1% chance of actually coming to fruition. There's another subsection where whoa, slow your roll here. This isn't actually, reasonable. Let's focus on just getting in and doing some things, anything at all, because what you're proposing is probably going to lose us the election. So much so, which is why I asked who picks these questions. One of the questions was about giving Medicare to undocumented immigrants. One of the questions was, do you think Sanders' plan will encourage more undocumented immigrants? They asked him that full face, and I was shocked that they would criticize one of the leading candidates' plans like that by actually asking something that's patently obvious on the face and have people address that. That's why I was like, I wonder who's picking these questions.
Yeah.
The front runner. And that's like a big, like, open slap to the face right there, saying like, well, if you put this in force, that's not going to reduce illegal immigration. It's just going to explode. And like Tim Ryan was like, yes, just like one word answer, yes. And everyone went down. Like, so it was really like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, like maybe, I don't know who's picking these questions. That's basically what
the producers of this debate that work. That's who's picking the questions. I actually will be a little bit of a non-conspiracy theorist on this one. I think they just wanted to create the most sort of entertaining debate because that's their job. So I think that they do some questions try to get people going.
It's probably just for ratings.
That's what TV's producers are supposed to do. So maybe they're just being TV producers and not, necessarily rigging it. It's obviously rigged in the sense that, I mean, Sanders and Warren got the most time. There's not even a question about that. You can tell even on when they're talking to certain candidates that will either split screen to Sanders or Warren so you can see them raise their hands and then they can get them right back in, whereas other candidates never go.
Or Hickenlooper. No, not. Oh, like the person, especially Delaney. Delaney was a lot of split screen so you could see his stupid face when somebody was roasting him.
I'm telling you, it's the best.
Whenever he's getting roasted, you always see his face blinking, smiling, and twisting. Like it's like I couldn't like. I had to
be a lot of Delaney memes. I think.
Thank God someone.
I can't wait. Like I got to get cranking on those. I got to go soon.
Thank God someone invented DVR so I could rewind 15 seconds just so I could keep watching Hickenlooper. I mean, I keep calling him that. Delaney just have a meltdown every time somebody roasts him on something.
Oh my God, it was fantastic. My dread. I know I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to check Twitter feed and it's going to be full of these memes and I'm going to be late to the party and I'm going to be so mad. So mad.
That was worth the price of admission. That watching his face made that whole debate worthwhile for me.
Every time
it was hilarious.
Every time they went to double box, I was like, please ask John Delaney something. Please ask John Delaney something.
It makes me want him. Like if I think about just this politics, which I pretty much do at this point from a purely entertainment standpoint, obviously I want Marianne Williamson against Donald Trump from a pure entertainment standpoint. I mean, if I don't care anything about morality or getting my issues out there, it's clearly Marianne.
I may even be in love with her, so it's a non-issue.
Oh, yeah. We'll get
back
off, JB.
We'll get to our emotions in a minute.
Yeah. And that'll be the rest of the podcast.
But I think number 2 might be John Delaney, just to watch his face. As
dude, it's unbelievable. The next, I need a halfway debate between now and the next one where it's just John Delaney and Marianne Williamson.
Maybe I'll email them and try to host it.
You can host. You can moderate.
Yeah.
Just say you moderate a debate, like big exposure. Get your names.
Yeah.
Hey, you ever been live streamed to a Facebook group of about 120 people? So I can make that happen. It's a secret group. Let's dive right into the hardest. I think the hardest question of any of these debates is. Other than where did Steve Bullock come from? That was the first question I wrote down.
Yeah, that was a difficult one. Yeah, that was a stumper.
I literally never heard of him, and he's just hasn't been following this enough. Most libertarian moment of the debate. I had a few nominees. Obviously, none of them are libertarian. I will tip my hat to Bernie on foreign policy. He did pretty good when they asked him about it. And this really pissed me off, actually. They brought up, how Bernie has said we shouldn't be, in 2016, he said we shouldn't be the policeman of the world. And their only criticism of that statement, zero criticism involved in the setup, was Donald Trump said some similar things. How do you feel about sounding like Donald Trump on this issue? It was the most question. Like it didn't address the issue itself at all. And he gave a pretty good answer about how we shouldn't be getting involved in these quagmires and getting involved in regime change and that sort of thing. So, I mean, there's no Ron Paul here, but, of the people on this stage, and I'd love to hear Marianne talk about foreign policy. I feel like I want to think she would be pretty good on it, but I don't think I've heard her asked a single question about it. So I feel like she'd be like, we should drop love bombs and have orgies.
Foreign policy? No, I think I covered the debate that she did the first time, or at the very least, I pretty much watched it. I don't think she's gotten any foreign policy questions.
She has not. Although I feel like I can predict her answer.
Yeah, I think I know.
We need a foreign policy of love. That's the only way to combat the dark
psychic forces.
I'm going to subtitle this podcast "The Dark Psychic
Forces."
Because that was the greatest line. So that was the one I had. I'll let you guys give a couple. So then if I don't need to name all mine. So what were your most libertarian moments? And if the other ones I had aren't mentioned, then
I didn't really have many. I think
I mean, there's none that are truly libertarian. Like, no,
yeah, at least Hickenlooper in his opening statement said he was against government expansion, which is nice, I guess, and nice lip service. But he's probably the only Democrat I think I've ever heard say that. So I think that should give him some points. I can't remember last time I ever heard.
I don't know if it was that you were talking about his opening statement, but he also had a comment later on. I think it's when he was going back and forth with Bernie, which is pretty hilarious. And he said there, he just said something about the danger of broad federal legislation on a lot of issues. Like,
I think, so I was like, that really struck out to me when he said that. It was like, I'll cover that with that massive. So he leaves the door open for a little bit government expansion, but he said he's against massive government expansion. So I was like, I think that's the first time I've ever heard a Democrat say that. Even massive Delaney? Government expansion.
No, that was Hickenlooper.
Oh. Yeah, Hickenlooper.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The other John.
So that's the only thing. And then, Buttigieg finally came out and said these endless wars.
Finally came out?
Well, wow. That's a pretty good choice of words on my part, I see now.
He and Delaney did.
You had that one written down too, right next to the arrow.
He and Delaney were all...
I just do this naturally, Yeah. But yeah, it makes sense too. And, he's a vet, so no one can call him out for that.
True.
And for me, that's about it that I noticed of any substance.
Car? Any
there was one. There was one other, but I don't know if this is really libertarian.
Well, nothing.
But it was like the honest assessment when John Delaney just called out Bernie Sanders. It's like, according to your plan, this Medicare for all the service would decrease in quality. Basically, what is forcing everybody to get shit insurance. And he's like, my team has run the numbers. The quality of service is going to reduce under your plan. And it's nice to hear some refreshing honesty about, these policies, some of these policies that the more left-leaning people are putting forward, that it's going to accompany a decrease in service and a decrease of quality. And John Delaney at least acknowledged that. And of course, Bernie just sidestepped that, claiming it isn't true, and it's unequivocally true.
Well, he also took a shot in the nuts at him by being like, well, I'm sorry, we're not going to have a system where people make money on healthcare like you did, John Delaney.
Yeah, they did roast him. He doesn't help himself being in that. Yeah. That's exactly was his response to that. Even though, it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
Regardless if John Delaney's making money or not, doesn't take away from the fact that it's going to be shit.
That's true.
Yeah, I was a little bit taken aback by that. That's what I was alluding to earlier in the episode when we were talking about. I was a little bit shocked at how almost conservative some people sounded, and that was one of those times where I was like, John Delaney was basically making a point that people needed to that healthcare was a business, and that's a
it's a cardinal sin.
Yeah, it's a cardinal sin on the left. But I had one, my most libertarian moment actually came before the debate started. I believe it was Anderson Cooper said that the field of candidates will be cut in half by September. And so I would say that anytime you eliminate half of any grouping of cops, that's a very libertarian thing. So
Anderson Cooper,
that's my most libertarian moment.
Is that really? Are they cutting it to half next time?
That's what Anderson Cooper said before the debate started. So I'm taking that man's word. He's know how trustworthy.
Anderson Cooper is the Thanos we needed.
Yeah.
He's snapping half these fuckers away.
Yep.
Did you write that one down?
Yeah, I had that written down ahead of time.
That's too good.
Marc actually distributed the email list before this of all the canned answers that we can draw from. We're all just
we can talk about it and who we'd miss the most if they leave. I'll just say now, I'm acting like we have a format. We'll save this for the end. Why do we have to? I really would be sad if Delaney left after tonight because the man's faces are priceless, and
he cannot leave. He has to be in the debates. I will never watch a debate without that man.
Donate to him?
It's insanity. It's like they know. It's like the producers know. You were talking about going after ratings, Marc. That's how you go after ratings.
Oh,
You're like,
I guarantee you that's a real thing.
I bet they're like, dude, look at this goofball.
Oh, that's 100% a real thing. 100%. It has to be.
Having worked in live TV, when shit is entertaining, they're gonna focus on it.
Of course, it's like, look, guys, he's doing something weird. Camera 3, get on him.
He's doing that ventriloquist puppet thing again. Box and box, double box him.
Like Tranquilicus. Get him in the double box. Go. All right.
Yeah, it is crazy.
They're gonna start calling it the Delaney box.
Yeah, the Delaney box. I need picture-in-picture.
That box where he's always in one side, and then you can just punch in.
And then it moves across. Like they'll minimize him to go to other candidates, but they still have it. He's like,
it's actually an option on CNN Online. You can do the Delaney vision where you always have Delaney's reaction.
That might be too much. I don't know.
No, he's the big screen, and the other candidates are all.
Yeah. They get moved down to the little box.
Could we somehow utilize Twitch to create our own channel that only shows?
Oh my god, man!
We could be billionaires off this.
Yeah.
And then Bernie will criticize us for making money off it. Sorry, we didn't make money off the debates like you did.
Making money on the backs of hardworking politicians.
Who struggled and fought to get into this country. Okay. My Bernie is just sounding like Dracula now.
Yeah, he's gotten more. It's been a long time since I've watched him because I haven't watched anything recently, but he's gotten significantly more insane. And
he kind of seems like someone who's doing an impression of 2016 Bernie Sanders.
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
Over-exaggerated impression.
Yes. It's like he's in the trailer watching videos and practicing it and stuff like that. Just drawing it out, really teasing it out. Yes.
I think to prepare for this debate, his team had him sit down and watch footage of Bernie Sanders and then do impressions of it. And then it's just building upon the original.
You're going to want to lean into it. Just lean into it.
Be your full Bernie.
Yeah.
The other things I had written down, I don't know if you call these libertarian per se, but whatever. This is a very loose thing here. A couple of Marianne quotes that I jotted down here. One is where she just said at one point, she said, everything we are talking about here is what's wrong with American politics.
Yes.
I like, yep.
Yes. I agree. It's like, Marianne, you've stole my heart once again.
And then she also said, okay, this
exactly.
And the rest of that statement was, and the Democratic Party needs to understand that we should be the party that talks not just about symptoms, but also about causes. Now, forget the actual positions she holds on things, which we probably don't agree on, most of them.
Yeah.
But you could easily see any libertarian saying this kind of thing. Just about all of politics is about talking about these symptoms. Okay, so healthcare costs a lot. So let's form a program to pay for healthcare, not to address why healthcare costs a lot. Our trade is imbalanced. Let's put tariffs on it. Let's not figure out that was a bad example. I hate trade imbalance. Shit. That's nonsense. Anyway, you know what I'm talking. You know what I'm saying.
Your brain's still scrambled from watching that debate, man.
I'm starting to become a Democratic politician, and the fireball is dominating my brain. But I just none of her positions that I've heard her state as actual political positions have I agreed with in either of the debates I see her win in. But I find myself agreeing with so much of her larger scale statements.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, her larger scale stuff is good. She's easy on the eyes. Because
mostly, sorry to interrupt, but mostly our larger scale statements are boiled down to fuck these guys. Yes. And I'm 100% on board with that. That's why you feel that.
Well, I would like to, and I'd like to put a finer point on that, JB. It's all of the field except for Marianne. It's fuck these guys, but then Marianne, it's like, let's fuck. Okay.
And also love everybody. And then her closing statement, since we're bouncing around anyway, what did she say? She said, I typed it weird, but she said the word, all this wonky, what did she say? She said wonkiness or wonky shit. She didn't say shit, but she's like, all this wonky stuff we're talking about isn't going to get us anywhere. It was basically what she's saying. And then she used the phrase that's going to go viral by the time we get off this. The dark psychic forces of collectivized hatred is how she described Donald Trump's, the force of Donald Trump that needs to be combated.
Yeah, which again, larger ideas, hey, she's just nailing them, knocking them out of the park. Once you boil it down, though, it's I'm sure it gets a little dicey, but I don't need to boil it down. I don't need to see how the sausage is made.
And what's funny is at one point in the first 30 minutes of the debate, I wrote down, did Marianne lose her luster? Because she wasn't really, she had a couple of answers in the beginning that were kind of I don't know, sort of standard. And I was like, oh, is she not the crazy orb lady anymore? And then it's almost like she heard me, because from that point on, he just took off. And
she cranked it up second half. It was nice.
She said, we heal through radical truth telling. Now, I don't know if she was doing radical truth telling. I think in her own way she was. I think she's telling the truth up there for, what she believes. But that reminded me so much of Ron Paul. Not, again, none of the political positions, but just
just the broader,
just only the truth telling aspect. And what attracted me to Ron Paul? Was it his actual position? Some of them, yes, but it was more of the fact that I was like, this guy is just going out there and saying whatever the fuck he thinks. And a lot of the positions I sorted out, as I went later on. And I don't see myself adopting Mary. If anything, I want to turn Marianne into a libertarian because I think
I see your point, Mark. It is refreshing to hear politicians say things you won't expect them to say, whether or not you agree with them. Not to stick to the script and, to actually fucking say what you truly mean and what you feel and,
She also had a yada, yada, yada at one point.
Yeah, she did, which was fantastic. It's like, good. Very good.
Like, everybody's up here talking about corporate money and yada, yada, yada. We all know you're taking it, so whatever. It's just like...
Probably made Bernie uncomfortable. Another thing stolen from him, he perceives.
I hope she at least gets a talk show out of this at a bare minimum.
God, man. Yeah. I emailed Marianne to get her on our show, but I haven't heard anything back.
If that happens, I don't know. I'm going to quit podcasting and just listen. And
I probably will too.
And just send you guys money.
Yeah. I'll probably just elope with Marianne and put up a
divert all the Lions of Liberty Patreon to the Friends Against Government. If she's a weekly guest, that's the key.
Yeah.
She has to become the third.
It's just our pillow talk. That's all it is. That's just the podcast.
We're not even on it anymore. It's just you two. You and Marianne.
I'm just recording it on my iPhone. Just
late at night.
Can I, Marianne? No, love you more. No, I love you more.
Okay, tell me some more stuff about dark forces.
Say the dark forces thing again.
All right, can you bring out your orb now? I really want to see the orb. That was cool.
Man, in my dreams.
She's like so awesome in so many ways. I just wish she wasn't even more of a socialist than some of them are.
Yeah.
Because she is when she gets into the reparations stuff. And even on that, even though she's totally wrong, I still feel like she comes at it in an interesting way. Like she views it as a debt upon people.
Well, I think in that way she's almost right. Like, I mean,
there's
I think
a psychic debt to be paid.
Yeah, I mean, and like if you can if you have a legitimate claim, like I think you can take that claim against the estate. Just the things that libertarians tend to be against are like some kind of like just grouping random groups of people in together and saying you owe this group. But I mean, if you have a legitimate claim and you can take it to a court, and I don't know, I guess I don't think hers is that precise or clean, but
no, it doesn't sound to be. I mean, yeah, if from a libertarian sense, if you can find like say X family that had X slaves and profited off them, and you can direct that wealth, trace that wealth, and then trace those actual slave families, and then go for it.
You've got a very legitimate claim.
Just most of these proposals, or not most, all of these proposals are nothing like that. They're just let's take money from everybody.
Yeah, right.
To these random people, some of which might have moved here 10 years ago. I don't know. Like they had nothing to do with it.
It's not, and being a black man. As you probably can tell from
I thought it was just dark.
See me. I didn't realize that JP was black.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It's not even so much. I've been asked. Obviously, I've been asked this reparations question, and I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea. Some have met that statement with shock. Others are like, you're just saying that because I know who you are, and you're a libertarian, and you hate the government and everything associated with it, which is the reputation I have at my workplace.
That's so funny that you get that now, considering where we were 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's what people think about me. It's like whatever's going on, JB's gonna just say it's the government's fault. That's what people at my workplace say.
So funny that is your reputation now.
That is my reputation at work. So
I feel very proud of that.
JB's just gonna blame the government anyway. So don't ask him.
I can't even tell you. My heart pitters and patters when you. Because JB is sort of the resident, just for your background, Car, and others that might not have been listening for the last 5 years. I wouldn't say you were even progressive when we first started having these conversations, but I would say you lean more in that direction than the libertarian direction, or you're the most skeptical, I guess, of libertarian ideas.
Yeah, very much so. I was definitely a progressive when we first started having these conversations.
I was trying to be nice. All right, you're right.
But in terms of reparations, it's like even if you thought it was a good idea, the actual application of it would be chaotic and impractical. just deciding who gets this money. It's not possible. It just logistically is not possible. Don't worry about whether or not
there's a white descendant of someone that came here in like the 60s.
Exactly.
And I'm someone that came from Jamaica 20 years ago. Like that's literally
this is what I tell, as you know, and everyone who listens to the show probably knows. I'm a scientist. I work at a children's hospital, so it's a very liberal. Science. Most scientists are liberal. So most of my coworkers are. Vast majority. It's probably more than 95% of scientists are Democrats.
Because to me, like, if you think about, in theory, I feel like a scientist should have a more analytical, logical mind. And that's not normally associated with those ideas. So why do you think that profession is it because of the money? Is it just because that's where a lot of funding comes from? I think it's that simple.
Why are most scientists liberal?
Yeah,
I could be a cynic and say that most research in this country is funded by federal grants.
You could
so
be.
Big government comes part and parcel with doing science in the modern world. But I probably think it's probably more than that. I think it maybe has to do with it has to do more. Probably has a lot to do with less economic and more social issues. A vast majority of scientists I know are very socially liberal, and they don't like the whole pro-choice issue, the anti-gay, all the social negativities that they associate with the Republican Party is like poison to most of the people I know in my profession. So it's a lot of the social issues. When I explain things to them fiscally and economically, when I explain economics to people, they see how their position doesn't make sense. But economics is not how politics are played in our country. Nobody fucking knows economics.
How people make decisions.
It's a game. It's just basically an ideological game. It's a social game. It's pitting us versus them. It's populism. Like real hard facts. The best thing about liberal scientists is when you present them with facts, they accept it because they're scientists. I've never gotten irrational pushbacks from things that I've clearly and accurately explained with them with data and facts because that's how their brains are wired. They just don't have that information, which is the beauty versus a liberal scientist versus maybe a liberal like television writer that you might have a conversation with in a bar in LA. We're used to facts and data. So when I give them facts and data that contradicts their claim, they listen to me.
Yeah, when I bring up facts and data, it's like, why are you a Nazi?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Like, oh, so you're a Hitler guy.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of. Yeah, you're asking.
I just said math is real. Like, what
the concept of being a quote Hitler guy is really funny.
Yeah,
you ask how people get that concept.
By reason do that. When I give them reasonable reasons why this is fucked, they listen to me. They don't refute it based on my feelings are hurt. They're like, well, the numbers back what you're saying, so it must be true. Which is nice.
How many libertarians have you created over there?
None. Because regardless of them agreeing with me that I'm correct, doesn't change their emotions.
And that is the same thing I've encountered in many years out here. I'll have long conversations with people where they'll agree with me on like everything I'm saying and even be like, you're totally right. I get where you're coming from. But it doesn't change anything about them or what they feel or about their politics at all. It's just like it's almost like this microscopic conversation that doesn't even affect the rest of the real world. It's just like, all right, well, anyway, now that I agree you're right about this thing, I'm going to go back into the world I live in where I don't care about this conversation and I just leave the thing.
But what I proposed to them when I said that reparations would be a really bad idea because it would be a logistical nightmare is not so much who would pay, but who would get the money. Mm-hmm. That's something that people don't talk about.
I know who pays, everybody.
Yeah, but who will get the money?
Including the people that are giving the money.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who's black enough to get this money?
It's black enough.
Like, am I? If you're 1/16 black, do you get the money?
We can probably start. We can probably start eliminating people. I'd say Mark and I are probably
I'm first generation American. I'm a first generation American. By all metrics, you would assume that I'm not entitled because my ancestors weren't American slave owners. But then people in my same position says, regardless or not if my ancestors were American slave owners, I was born and raised in this country, and I have to deal with the same disadvantages and injustices that any American black person has to face, whether or not my ancestors were from the American South. So I'm entitled to this money too. The infighting and horseshit and legal wrangling just to decide if I'm 1/4 black, I should get 1/4 of what you get. just trying to figure out who gets the money would blow this up, let alone who has to pay. And I get silence when I say that.
And what about like mixed race people? What about
exactly. I just said even 1/4. Even
there's a shitload of like non even mix like I'm Pennsylvania Dutch. Half those people came over as slaves.
I guarantee if they started giving out free checks because you're black, there'd be a lot of Ancestry DNA fucking kits coming out in the mail very soon.
And what do we even do?
A lot of Americans who have black ancestry because we've lived side by side since the founding of the country. And now you're not going to say that they're not entitled to this money because they're only 1/32 black? It's going to be a nightmare.
On top of that, why should a Ukrainian immigrant who's white as fuck who came here 10 years ago and struggled to get here have to pay to contribute to that?
See, that's the problem, Mark. I don't bring that up because you got to talk to your audience. They don't care about that guy. They care about distribute. I was like, let's say you get your way and we're handing checks out. How is that going to work? That's how they listen to you. Don't say, oh, they don't care about that guy. They care about what they care about. It's like, okay, you win. We're going to give out the money. Who gets it? And then they start to see the flaw. They don't care about the who has to pay. That is how I frame my argument. You got to cater to your audience. Talking about who has to pay, the ears are immediately closed.
Boom.
Does that make sense?
Talking to progressive scientists 101. Yeah, it makes sense.
You have to talk to your audience. I know what will register with them. And framing the argument that way really opens their eyes. It's like, yeah, actually, now that you mention it, that would be a fucking nightmare.
Do you frame it? Do you preface it with like saying like, well, all right, as you guys know, I am a Hitler guy. So, and then you just proceed and do it from there.
Don't, but I probably should start.
You might want to just toy with it. Just do some split testing and see if that.
As you know, I'm a member of the Nazi Party.
As you guys know, I'm a Hitler guy. You know,
I'm also black. I'm also French and also partially Jewish, but I'm still a member of the Nazi Party.
That's what I like to say. I say Hitler had some good ideas on paper. It's just the application was kind of, some things. But and also he had some great paintings, so let's not discount.
They always said in undergrad, it's like the last person to join the Nazi Party is a black French Jew. So always remember that.
I'm not sure if I even get this joke, but
yeah, we're not Hitler guys.
I'm gonna laugh like I do. I'm not a Hitler.
Yeah. We're not. We don't get the inside Hitler jokes.
No, we're not all Hitler guys.
All right, let's get back to some more of my talking points. Did I have any? I did. I had more questions. I think. Let's see. We already did the possible most libertarian. Okay. Let's look at the most statist moment, which is almost every sentence from everybody. But a couple that stood out to me, I think I did mention this before, when Sanders in one sentence did the free healthcare plus the strong border. That was like my most statist to me. And also when Sanders said, fuck private healthcare, that wasn't a quote, but that's basically what he said to Delaney. Like,
fuck private healthcare.
Fuck private healthcare. It's going away forever. Fuck it.
Everybody just clears their throat a little bit. Like,
but worse than those, actually, as bad as those both are, I think Steve Bullock wins for his total acceptance of a nuclear first strike. Totally fine with just, I'm not taking that off the table. Someday we might just need to nuke someone before they even do anything to us. So I think Steve Bullock actually is the wild card here and might win the most statist moment, because as much as I'm against government taking control of healthcare and strong border controls, I'm really against mass genocide. So
yeah,
I think you win, Steve Bullock. Congrats.
I've got Hickenlooper talking about staying in Afghanistan. That was kind of blowing my mind.
That would let it slip me by. Was he was going all neo hockey?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was just like, well,
yeah, I remember that. He's basically like, we have to stay for as long as it takes because it's power vacuum thing, and like
it's a humanitarian mission. Look at how much progress we've made over the last 18 years. I was like, what the fuck? It wasn't even like the most statist moment. I mean, I gotta believe a nuclear first strike is probably that's got to be hands down the most statist moment, but it was the most like baffling opinion, especially I guess I shouldn't say especially from on a Democratic debate, but I don't know, it just seemed so like,
well, it's not even a Democratic debate. I could easily see a Republican saying the same thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I could see a Republican
statist knows no blue or red. They're all statists.
Well, sure, but I could absolutely see everybody on a stage at a Republican debate saying, "Yes, we can't turn our back on Afghanistan." I was not prepared for somebody to open up, not shy away from it, and attack, as in we need to stay in Afghanistan in a Democratic primary a year out from the elections. I was not prepared for that.
And you know what made that particularly insane? I think that was right after like Buttigieg said, before you know it, there's going to be a casualty report. Someone has died in Afghanistan that was born after 9/11. That's how long we've fucking been there.
I thought that was a good line.
That was kind of like chilling to me. We're getting to the point that, we're already past the point that someone born after 9/11 is eligible to join the armed services and could potentially die in Afghanistan. And we're still fucking there. It's insane. I was like, this is like a chilling statement that people need to register. And immediately after, they're like, nah, we should just stay indefinitely.
Yeah.
Do you believe that if Pete Buttigieg was in office or Beto O'Rourke, they both said they would remove the troops within a year, that would actually happen?
You don't believe that?
I want to believe it.
I think they would try.
No, I don't.
I'd like to believe it.
I think they would try.
I don't believe
it. Buttigieg more just because he was there, and
I believe him because he was literally there.
Yeah,
I don't believe that any single one of them would remove troops from Afghanistan. Period. Republican, Democrat, I don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
Fair enough.
I would have to see very convincing.
Take them all out, and then like a minute later, he's like, "Well, actually, I think I'm going to send like 40,000 more."
Yeah. What happened? Well, yes, but actually, no.
You're like, that whole removing.
We need to send 40,000 more to pack up the stuff of the guys we have left.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to pack. Is the thing. There's a lot of luggage. Yeah. I didn't realize.
And you need two guys for every trunk, so we need to send two more over.
And we need guards for the luggage, so when the guys are packing, they're not going
to get tired.
They're just there to pack the stuff.
Yeah, they're packers.
We sent the Green Bay Packers to pack. That's my proposal. All right. What else? What else did we want to say? Let's see. What did I have here? Oh, here's an interesting question because I actually am not sure on this. I have my own idea about it. Which candidates would have the best? Which candidate? I'm not going to choose candidates. They're going to name one. You're going to stick to it. Which candidate of this 10 on stage? There's 10 more tomorrow. Would have the best chance to defeat Donald Trump? And
best chance? Who would I want to vote for? Those are two questions.
Those are two different questions. Different questions. So this is that one. This is the best chance. And I guess we could really combine this because I have a question. If you were a Democrat, who would you want to go against Trump? I guess that's the same thing because you probably want to defeat Trump if you're a Democrat. So maybe we can combine those questions. But who do you think, like if you're the Democrat, who do you want to be the nominee? Who do you think would be the most likely to defeat him?
Well, I don't think anybody on the stage has a snowball's chance in hell. So I don't think we're talking about, we're talking about 5% chance versus 4% chance versus 3%.
Right.
I guess I almost have to default. I have to almost default to Bernie, but I think there's like two things, right? Like there's who has the best chance of winning the primary and then beating Trump, or then if you were just to airlift somebody into a general election with Trump, who would win? And I got to tell you, like, listening to Buttigieg and plus his background and stuff, I don't know, man. He was pretty articulate and it would be tough. He presents a lot of natural obstacles to Trump just because he's a veteran and he's gay. So
it seemed a little too I don't know, calm to me. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's like presidential, but
yeah, I think that might be perceived as president. I mean, again, we're talking about 3% versus 4% versus 5. So, I mean, nobody has a snowball's chance in hell. I will say that his natural impediments to Trump or the things that are going to play into the perceived what have you, racism and misogyny and all that crap of Trump, like he has in spades, and he's also a veteran. So, and he's articulate, and I don't really feel like I saw him miss a beat, really. I mean, in the context of what we were watching. I mean,
he was well trained. He's good at this. He's getting good training for a mayor. For fuck's sake, he's a mayor.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Let's not forget that.
So I think Bernie is the obvious answer, especially when considering winning a Democratic primary and then going up against Trump. I guess is the obvious answer. I don't know. Maybe I'll have something different. But then as my dark horse, and especially as someone, if they were to be airlifted in, just in a general against Trump. I don't know, man. From what I saw last, just based on this this fiasco that we just watched, Buttigieg might be it.
JB, what do you think?
What's the question again?
I
don't say that because I'm just confused. Am I picking who I want out of this pack of
like candidate with the best
this pack of jackals, or the candidate I think has the best chance of beating Trump?
Best chance to beat Trump if they were the nominee, which I think is the same. I had two questions in one, and the other one was if you were a Democrat, who would you want to go against Trump? But that's kind of the same question.
Yeah, I think that's the same.
So
they're not the same.
Well,
at least not for me.
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
I think
whatever you want. There's no rules.
If I was a Democrat, who I want would be
because I guess if you I could say
would be Warren. Would unequivocally if I was a Democrat, I would want Elizabeth Warren, who I think has the best chance of beating Trump. As strange as it sounds, is probably Steve Bullock. I think the best chance.
That does sound strange, Jason. That does sound very, very strange.
How strange. I think the best chance of the Democrats
we smoothly transitioned out of where did Steve Bullock come from to
let me explain. Let me explain.
I need the explanation.
So that's why I said they're not the same. That's why I said repeat the question. If I was a Democrat, I would be voting for Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
Who I think has the best chance of beating Trump is Steve Bullock, because he is a red state Democrat.
Yeah, okay.
In this cycle, Democrats will vote for fucking anybody with a D behind their name.
That's a fair point.
Stick with Trump.
That's a good point.
This red state guy, this Steve Bullock, reasonable. He's got the
He's willing to nuke anybody.
Got the state.
That's cool.
He can pull some of those guys from those Trump guys from those battleground states to win this handedly.
That was kind of my thought.
I think Steve Bullock would probably win out of this group.
I thought Hickenlooper
has the best chance to win. But if I was a Democrat, it'd probably be Warren. That's why two different questions.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point because, I guess I look at it almost like from a libertarian. If I was in a scenario where I was libertarian.
If I wasn't a Hitler guy.
If libertarians were a real party, let's put it that way.
Also, you didn't ask me who would win the primary, which will certainly not be Steve Bullock. But general election, he would roast Trump.
Well, I guess the who would you vote for is who do you have someone else who you think will win the primary out of these people? That's not Warren or
I didn't think Warren had a chance before the debate started, but now I'm starting to think that she's building some momentum, and I think the reception for her after this debate will be even better than the last one, and she's going to get even more points. I think she's probably going to be easily a top 2 contender after this.
We might as well combine this question, or not combine it, but just lump it on here while we're doing this. If you had to vote for one of these people for president, you have no choice, just these 10, not the whole field, but if these 10, I'll toss it back to you too, Car, after JB. Of these 10 candidates, you got to vote for one. Who's it going to be?
I can't
not as you were as a Democrat, as you
as me, and I can't vote for Marianne Williamson because I'm in love with her.
Oh,
yeah, I think that should be a rule for all of us.
Because I'm in love with her.
What?
No,
I don't think that's politically expedient.
Because obviously we're all going to vote for Marianne.
Yeah, it's that's why I was like, we might have to caveat with that because that's a easy, that's a no-brainer for me. Yeah. I've already voted for her several times because in
your heart.
No, because our elections are poor. It says Swiss cheese. So I've already voted for her. Pennsylvania doesn't have a primary till the next April, right? Something like that. Already voted 6 times.
Today in your office bathroom or?
No, everywhere really. Office bathroom, common bathroom, my bathroom.
JB Hart, Marianne. All over
the Market Frankfurt line on SEPTA. People from Philly know what that is. People know how filthy the Market Frankfurt
is. Are you in Philly?
Is. Yeah, I'm a Philadelphian.
Yeah.
Not by birth, but I adopted the place because I love its filthiness.
Yeah, I like Philly. Yes. So wait. So who was your answer? Sorry,
Marianne Williamson.
Masturbation talk regarding Marianne.
Said my piece.
All right. I forget which of those questions you answered, Car. Did you answer any of them yet?
I didn't answer any of them yet.
Answer all of them.
Okay, so
all of your thoughts about who you would vote for if you were a Democrat, or
who would I vote for in the ballot box? Who would I vote for in the ballot box if I can't vote for Marianne? And who would I vote for in one of the?
Abstaining's not an option. You get murdered and tortured.
Yeah, and who would I vote for in one of the cars on the SEPTA?
Yes.
Two of them are Marianne. The third one.
Well, one is also, who do you think has the best chance? For getting.
Well, I've said who Bernie. I think Bernie just de facto has the best chance.
3 questions. It's who would you want if you were a hardcore Democrat with democratic values? Then there's who has the best chance if they were to become the nominee, and then there's who would you want if you had to vote as you, libertarian you now.
Okay, so
a lot to take in.
I'm already forgetting what the beginning was.
I should organize these better when
or we should not drink, but I know which one's more likely to happen.
I think the drinking might have something to do with it.
Yeah. Drinking. Okay, so if I'm just going to scattershot it. So if I'm a progressive and I want to see somebody beat Trump,
right?
I don't know. Out of this crowd, I think I have to de facto Bernie, although I don't think he has any shot. If you're disregarding the primary, maybe Buttigieg. And then who do I want? Obviously, it's Marianne.
Yeah, obviously. we all agree we're in love with Marianne. Okay. Obviously Marianne is the gunpoint one. Easy. That's real easy. I'm really trying to. In some ways, you could make a strong argument for Bernie as having the best chance because he could win some of the states that Hillary lost. He could win Wisconsin. He could win Michigan. Yeah. He could win some of those states. I just can't. And I know it has nothing to do with
Bullock would win all those states. Okay.
He won't win all those states.
He would. He would win all those states.
There's some kind of he probably would win those specific states, but I don't know if he'd win enough to beat Trump.
I mean, he's not going to win all 50 states. Just the two states that you had mentioned.
I know what you're saying. I know that.
Bullock who to... Yeah, he's going to win 50 states.
Yeah, he's going to win 50 states.
Bullock who? Electric Bullock.
Landslide. First time in U.S. history, one candidate wins all 50
prediction
states.
Is that Marianne Williamson wins 50 states and Puerto Rico. With love.
And one of the moons of Jupiter somehow.
I might just be drunk, but I think that Marianne Williamson, if let's just pretend the primary wasn't going to be an obstacle because she probably won't win this primary. If she was, as Car said, airlifted in, I feel like she has the best shot of these people in a way, simply because she is using a completely different playbook. And that's how Donald Trump won, because he didn't use the Republican playbook. He took that thing, threw it out, burned it, took a shit on it, re-ate it, and re-shit it out, and then threw the whole thing up. He took a total dump on the whole system, and unabashedly. Now, she's not quite as strong on Trump as Trump would just openly just call people out. He would openly, shit on Jeb Bush, openly call out Marco Rubio. I mean, she's not quite that direct. But she's taking on the entire concept of the Democratic Party in a way, and of these people being sort of hypocrites. And I think she's just operating at a different level. So I think that if you're going to be, I still would put her chances very low. But if you're going to beat Donald Trump, you have to operate on a different level, and you can't play the same Democratic playbook that we saw 4 years ago. And almost every other candidate is some variation of the Hillary playbook at the end of the day. Some are more extreme, some have more advantages, some have some disadvantages. At the end of the day, no one's really going drastically outside of the box on the strategy, but she is. So that's why I actually, not even jokingly, I actually do think, considering I don't think any of them have a chance, I think she actually, if she were airlifted in through the primary, could have a better chance against Trump.
Yeah,
maybe that
possibly.
chance is 6% instead of 5%. I don't know. But I actually legitimately think if she was given, because once you get to that point, if you have that national spotlight, people are going to be hearing what you're saying. So her message will get out there, whatever that fucking message is, the dark psychotic forces or whatever. I mean, that's going to get there, and there's going to be memes, and I don't know. You never know where it could go.
Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, just basically, I mean, she is an attractive woman, and that's a fit, people being physically attractive is a big part of any of that stuff.
And if we're going pure attraction, I think Tulsi,
Kennedy Nixon debates taught us that.
You take that back, Hitler boy.
Hold on, I'm
coming. What, the Kennedy Nixon debates?
Oh.
No, not you, JB.
You know,
Marc is starting to edge his way into Tulsi is more attractive than Marianne.
I'm not. I'm gonna pull a twist on the whole
Tulsi
thing.
is more
On the
attractive
Shyamalan.
than Marianne.
Marianne
is attractive.
Physically,
let's not play these games here. Everyone's friends.
In a room with me, I'm gonna probably choose Tulsi if I never met them. But Marianne Williamson has this energy about her, and this other level of attractiveness that is even
that's true.
Supersede Tulsi on the overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we're just talking about physical, sure, but overall, it's not even a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. She's alluring. She's
alluring.
trapped like a spider in her web.
I wonder what goes on back
I'm in the web,
after
baby.
hours. Like, I'm pretty sure after the debate, Tulsi goes home and has a glass of wine and like settles down with a nice book. God knows what Marianne's doing. I don't know what boring. She's got tarot cards. She's got orbs. She is contacting spirits. Like she's doing. She's hanging in some sort of weird puppeteering thing. Like she might be hanging from a ceiling. Yeah, she's doing DMT. I don't know what the fuck Marianne's doing. I want to take Marianne home just to be at home with Marianne.
She's 100% doing DMT.
And she would be my guide, and she'd bring me through the whole thing, show me the other side of the veil. It would be
it's not even close.
Experience.
Oh yeah, sweet Marianne.
Anyway, I think my vote's Marianne on all three counts. No, if I was an actual progressive Democrat, I would probably be most drawn to Warren right now. Actually, she did seem strong, all things considered, because I already knew who Bernie was, and he just showed me a Bernie, but just a little more Bernie. But Warren, like JB was saying earlier, did I think surprise a bit. Like she seemed like she has upped her game in a sense. I just think the Pocahontas thing, it will never come up in this primary. But if she gets to Trump, if it becomes Warren and Trump, like she's done. Like I can't imagine. Like there's just no doubt he's going to destroy her. She hung herself with that whole DNA thing. That was just the dumbest.
I think that's going to blow over. You forget how fast the news.
I think it will in the primary.
How long in the primary? How long over? Do you think Trump can hang his hat on Pocahontas for an entire
election?
Not
only, but he can use it. He can use it enough.
Yeah, for an entire election cycle, not a chance.
Yeah, I actually think he can. He's had is one catchphrase for everyone he's destroyed, and that's enough. Like, yes, I do actually think that is enough.
Well, we'll see.
Well, and not only just the Pocahontas thing, but the way she handled it was so incredibly bad.
It was poor. It was poor.
Like she should have just dropped it.
Double down.
Thing came out. Like
she made herself look like an idiot.
Instead, she released the results as if she was proving something, and it was just the most unbelievably stupid thing I've ever seen. I don't even understand what was in the playbook there. I literally can't figure it out. I mean, there's nothing that makes sense about it. I mean, unless she was just trying to get it done with. But I would just be like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and put this DNA test in my drawer and not talk about it now. That's what I would do. Yeah, I think Warren wins one of those votes if I was the Democrat, and then Marianne wins the vote of my heart and my soul. All right, let's see. So you said the next one was candidate most likely to not make the next debate. Yeah, I think we already did the candidate if forced to vote. Yeah, among all candidates. So that's our that's the last real question besides best crazy eyes. But I think we know the answer to that. Yeah, we all obviously. Thank you, Mr. Delaney. Yeah. Let's especially since Anderson Cooper is about. I don't know if he's the one doing it, but someone's about to Thanos half these fuckers out of here. So let's name a few people on stage. You don't have to choose half, but who do you think's not making it? I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, either of you. One of you, somebody. So I had three players that I wrote down beforehand, and I think that they were all still relevant. Although I don't know when the next debate is. I don't know if we have to cut it down by half. It's not till September. Yeah. So do they have another debate in August? No. Oh, okay. So the next debate. It was a pleasant surprise when I found that out. I was like, right. I got a month off. So I had written down Tim Ryan, Steve Bullock, and John Delaney. Now, one of those, it turns out in retrospect, I regret writing down because John Delaney needs to make it deep into the innings because he is very entertaining. But Delaney or Bullock? Delaney. I want Delaney. I mean, if it's not Marianne, I arguably almost want Delaney because he is such a trip to watch. If I'm not a Democrat or a Libertarian, but I'm just someone who likes to laugh, which I am, then I'm voting for Delaney. Yes, absolutely. He just looks like a nut job. So I think those are my three that I would say they don't
make the next one. But I don't know. Delaney got a lot of time, and Steve Bullock got a lot of time.
And now that I found out he's worth $65 billion or million or whatever, I had no idea that he was a
Delaney is.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's like 65. They mentioned that at one point in the debates, and
yeah, apparently he's loaded.
Yeah, I had no idea he was like worth $65 million. And that's why Bernie was like, "Oh, I guess you're one of those millionaires or whatever." Like, sorry, you made money off healthcare. But maybe that's related to how much time he got somehow, possibly. Because I figure if you're worth $65 million, you might know a producer or two at CNN. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
Just saying. And it helps if you look ridiculous. It doesn't hurt.
Dude, it's wild. I mean, that's the sort of thing when you were talking about earlier, like, with Marianne having some sort of chance if she were airdropped into the general because like people would meme her maybe. Like that guy might get some weird expected tailwind from memes.
It's possible. In this world we live in now, I mean, meme magic is more powerful than ideas.
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Look out for that, folks. Because
I wanted to go off about one thing John Delaney said, and he was half right and half wrong. Well, he's mostly wrong. When he's like, "We just got to rate. It's unfair that people who make their money off investing have to pay way less than people who, make their money working." And I agree with him on that. I think they should both pay zero. So
yeah, sure, yeah.
But that's not the way. That's not.
At the very least, you should have said, so we should drop federal income tax to capital gains rate.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be like awesome. Like, all right, sure. Like, no, we got to jack that capital gains tax, and nobody wants to invest in anything. Even now, I mostly invest only in like my Roth IRA because I don't want to pay a small capital gains tax if I happen to make some money in the stock market, let alone whatever. And I'm obviously no big player here, like John Delaney. I'm shocked he wants to raise his own capital gains tax, but I imagine he doesn't think he's going to win, so he's not too worried.
And even if he does it matter to him?
No,
he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's kind of actually a good hedge. It's called hedging your bets. If you win, it won't matter, and if you don't win, it won't matter.
If I win, I'm president.
Exactly.
So well, good. Keep my money.
Yeah.
So I think Tim Ryan he's got to be done, right? Like that guy has no traction.
I don't know who he is. I still don't know who he is.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
I think I wrote this down as one of my funniest.
Exactly, Car. Very bad sign.
Yeah.
At least I know who Steve Bullock is now.
I now know who Bullock is. I do not know.
In his closing statement, Tim Ryan said, blah, blah, blah. I hope this, I hope that. He's like, but what I really hope is that I captured your imagination tonight. And I was like, oh. I think that was my actual funniest moment because I laughed out loud. And my dogs looked at me and like it was that loud. They're like, what are you talking about? I was like, this guy thinks he captured someone's imagination tonight?
Yeah, not good.
This guy thinks that. No, so he's got to be done. And I think Bullock is done despite JB's love affair with him. And it's only this half thing. I feel like I got to eliminate half of them now. But I guess.
Well, that's what I was thinking in the back of my head. It's like, do I have to say 5 names now? Because
you don't have to for the rules of this podcast because there aren't no real rules. But
for all we know, maybe 8 from tomorrow will get kicked out. But I hardly.
That's true.
Of the moderates, I feel like Hickenlooper might be the strongest, but I don't know. I guess.
But he's also
so. He was on the first on my list to get knocked out.
Yeah,
I feel he's like completely anonymous.
Yeah,
you're right. I don't know.
Like he doesn't. He doesn't.
The name Hickenlooper is hard to forget. Like
the name is funny, and the name recognition works for him versus Tim Ryan, which is the most generic name in the history of the world
for so many reasons. Not even an interesting name, and he looks so tired. He looks like Vince Vaughn after any night. Like he just had huge bags under his eyes. For that debate.
So yeah, if I had to pick 5, I would say Ryan's on my list, Hickenlooper's on my list. I would say probably Klobuchar, definitely. Wow, it's hard to pick 5. Bullock, of course. Even though I said he probably would have the best chance, he's not gonna make it out of the primary. I caveated that. Without you said airlifted in. I never said he would win the primary.
Right.
He's not. He doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning the primary.
None.
So he's definitely out, and I think that I'm still at 4, and Delaney, of course. So that's 5 right there.
Oh man, but I just don't want Delaney to be gone.
Yeah, I know.
I become so attached.
But that's an easy 5, and it keeps Williamson in, so I can sleep it tonight.
I think I exactly agree with JB on that list, and My fear is that Marianne is coming sooner than we all want.
That is my big.
Her time on the chopping block is coming sooner than we all want.
Can we convince her to run as an independent or something?
Well, I'm emailing, man. I'm emailing, so
I'm gonna start too.
We'll see.
Not for Lions of Liberty. I just want to talk to her.
Hey,
I just want to have a late night chat. That's all. It's a quick Skype call. No big deal. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think we've covered just about anything. You guys got any final thoughts? Let's do a quick final thought segment. How about that? JB, give your final thoughts because you have nothing to promote, and I'll let Car promote his podcast.
My final thoughts is...
I shouldn't assume that. You got anything to promote?
Me? Absolutely nothing. I have the Lions of Liberty, of course, because it's the only thing I've got going. So there's the only thing
they're hearing this already know.
So yes, I promote my own show that I'm currently on, and and my closing statement is I think that this debate was interesting, more so than the last one, because it kind of highlighted a bit of an ideological divide within the Democratic Party. It's really giving some people some things to think about in terms of what kind of candidate they want to vote for if they're a registered Democrat, in terms of who do you want to put in office versus who do you think can beat Trump. And I think that really, and I think because I was so fixated on the questions, I think the questions were primarily designed to highlight that and have people answer these questions. So, and I'm interested to see how tomorrow pans out in terms of if it's a similar vein or if they go in a completely different direction.
Yeah, I'll probably watch tomorrow just for Tulsi, so I can.
Yeah, I say I didn't watch the last one. I'm almost certain I did, and I'm going to watch tomorrow too.
I said I wasn't going to watch the last one, and then I watched the whole thing. So
exactly,
the same thing will happen. All right, Car, what about you? Final thoughts, and tell us some more about this little podcast you're on. You actually haven't officially been on Lions of Liberty yet. I will have you and your co-host Bird on at some point. So,
well, I appreciate this opportunity. So my final thoughts are, it's brutal to watch, but Delaney makes it reasonable. Marianne makes it reasonable. It's a laugh to watch them both.
Sexy. He makes it hilarious.
Yeah, you always got to, the glasses half full, right, guys? I mean, the glasses half full. So I'll always delight in watching Marianne's weird ass answers and Delaney's weird ass looks. I probably won't watch the debate tomorrow unless I get a message from Marc saying, "Hey, let's break down the debate tomorrow for a Lions of Liberty podcast."
Might.
In which case I would. But no, I don't know. It's just it's a shit show. It's about all I got to say. And I don't think the winner's coming out of this crowd. So I don't think I got anything else to say more than that. But to plug my own stuff, I got a podcast, Friends Against Government podcast, the Fagcast. It's me and Bird Archist. That we host that, and it releases every Wednesday. Just come check us out on Twitter.
And I've been on it, and so has Brian McWilliams.
Yes,
and so has
Howie.
And maybe JB will be someday. We'll see.
And yes, absolutely.
Me and Rico are, we're the black sheep of the Lions of Liberty, I guess.
The black sheep.
Yeah.
That would be a good show. We can't actually call you alone the black sheep because that would be racist. But if I put Rico in there too, it's okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay.
How you guys collectively the black sheep. Only thing I want to plug is if you're listening to this on the main Lions of Liberty podcast feed, guess what, sucker? You could have heard it 2 days ago. You could have heard it live. You could have seen it live. Even for $2 a month, you could have seen it live on the live stream by joining as a Lion Cub. Or if you join 5 or higher, you get all this audio and delivered right to your RSS feed through Patreon. So check it out. Patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. A little hidden secret I'm going to tell you guys. I don't like to talk about this very often. But Patreon doesn't charge you. We have it set up this way on purpose. You don't get charged until the 1st of every month. So if you signed up on, say, August 2nd of a month, you would not get charged until, say, September 1st. But in that time, you're getting all of our bonus content. So you could hypothetically give yourself a free sample of the Lions of Liberty Pride by going ahead, signing up for $5 a month, trying that whole month amount, knowing you can cancel it before that September 1st. And I wouldn't even be offended. You know why? Because you're not going to cancel. Because we give you so much awesome content and so much access to us. And even if you do cancel, that's okay too. I won't hold it against you that much. But yeah, check us out. Patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. Give us money. More
you need to tell the audience how cutely named our Patreon levels are. I think that would incentivize them to go up the ladder.
You know what? You're right. I don't really talk about that as much, but the names of our levels are quite adorable, as JP has pointed out. So you have the $2 Lion Cub level. That's actually new. That's just you don't get really most of the bonus content there, but you do get access to our secret Facebook group where these do live streams. So you still will get the live streams. However, the groups are named after famous lions. So at $5 a month, you have the Simba level. $10 a month, you have the Cecil level. Do you guys remember Cecil? He was that lion.
Cecil the lion. How could I not?
He got killed. He got killed in the jungle or something. I think that's what happened to Cecil. Then you have Leo. Leo is the famous MGM lion, by the way. Not everybody knows that. $15 a month. $25 a month, in which it's the Mufasa level, and you get to hop on a conference call with us once a month with the lions on video. Get to ask us anything you want, talk about anything you want. That is a really good time. And then the daunted Aslan level.
Aslan.
The Aslan level. You get everything you get, but you actually get an ad on our show. You get to air a weekly advertisement for $100 a month, which is far lower than our actual ad rates would be. So many, many good reasons, many, many great levels. I'm glad JB pointed out the adorableness of these names, because really it's not something we talk about enough. We do insane amounts of bonus content. We do the Conspiracy Corner. We do Degenerate Gamblers, where we talk about old college stories and current stories of debauchery, of which there are many and many and many and many and many and many, and they are always being updated because we have not stopped being ridiculous in our old age. Legion of Liberty Doom, League of Liberty, rival shows featuring various podcasters from all over the Liberty universe, and so much more random bonus shit. You can get all of that for $5 a month. You can get all of that as a measly little Simba even. So please do check us out. Patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. We dump bonus content galore onto this feed. We make sure that our patrons get a lot of value back for sending us money. We're not one of these podcasts that's happy to sit back, collect money, and send you just the regular free podcast. That's not us. You get your free podcast no matter what, even if you don't send us anything 3 days a week. Even this bonus show you're going to get for free in the regular feed eventually, because we love you. But if you really want to keep the show going, we're basically entirely listener funded. We don't take a dime from it. It all goes back into the show. So please do check us out. Patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. Bye. We have no sign off on this. It's just the end. Thank you guys. Thank you very much, Car, for coming on the show. JB, thank you again for taking time out of your kitchen and science duties to talk about this stuff.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's been fun.
It was a pleasure.
Adios and roar.